Punjabication, the Shanti Mantra and the part 3.
Yes, Swami. Yeah, I had to pick up from my other.
Yeah, Vangme Manasi Pratishtita.
Yeah. Om Vagme Manati Pratishthita Mano Me Vajit Pratishtham Avaru Vivam Jeti Vedasya Sanistah Sudam Me Ma Prahasi Anenan Svet Nano Karatran Sandhatamirdam Padishyami Satyam Padishyami Tanmamavadu Tadvaktaramavadu Avadu Mam Avadu Vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Third section.
Yeah. We completed the second part last time. On that, any questions or clarifications? It is all showing the Mithyatvam of birth and death and the whole thing. In his own way he is going about it, but that is the main focus. Okay? Because it's a very simple Upanishad. Okay? Yeah. Though the Upanishad does have a Mahavakya right at the end, the last verse. Okay? Then he goes on, it's a prose section now, the whole thing, not a verse section, it's a prose section. He says, Om Poyam Atmeti Vayam Upasme. Hey, who is the Atma that we are worshipping? Atma, there will be Ishvara. Who is the Ishvara we are worshipping? Kataraha sa Atma. What is the nature of that Atma? Then he says, Yena va pashyati, yena va shrunoti. Is it the one that we see, that sees? Is it the one that hears? Yena va gandhan jigrati. Or is it the one that smells? Yena va vacham vyakaroti. That which is it the one that is manifesting the sound, the speech? Yena va swadu cha aswadu cha vijanati. Or is it the one that tastes good and bad? What is it? This makes sure that there is already some understanding. Because if you notice, all this that he is talking about can happen only in a sentient being. To hear, to see, to taste, to speak. All that can happen only in a sentient being. Okay? So he says, what is the Atma? Okay. What do I take as I? What is it that I take as I? Because what I know is this talking, functioning entity. That is all that I know as I. At the same time, I know I have a subject-object relationship with all of them. I see that I don't see clearly, I need specs. I see that my hearing is compromised. Taste is still fine. So all this indicates a subject-object relationship with all of them. So he wants to know who is the Atma, who is the self. That's all. Okay. He says, Yad etat hridayam manaschaitat. In the hridayam, in the heart, that's the mind, he says. What is that? Sanjnanam, Ajnanam, Vijnanam, Prajnanam. Okay, alright. Okay, Sajnanam, clear knowledge, or that which is manifest as a sentient entity. Okay, Ajnanam, don't know also, ignorance also, because ignorance also I objectify. Vijnanam, Vijnanam can indicate any type of specialized study. Prajnanam. Okay. Prajnanam can be taken in this context as a generalized awareness of things. Medha, the ability to remember. Drishti, okay. Perception, perceptive knowledge. Dhritihi, your fortitude, the act of will. Okay. Matihi, thinking. Manisha, mastering the mind. Okay. Jyutihi, Jyoti is something exceptionally intelligent. Okay. Smritihi, memory. Sankalpaha, to make a decision. Rutuhu, rasaha. Okay. All right activities. Kamaha, vashayati, passion, and all these. Says sarvani eva etani prajnanasya namadheyani bhavanti. Now look at it. He says all these are names for consciousness. You're thinking, you're feeling, you're talking, you're this. All this, Meda, Driti, everything, he says are names for consciousness. What do you mean by that? They are all manifestations from my consciousness. Because only a sentient being will have all these. No? To see things, to hear, to will, to think, to have knowledge, ignorance, all of them can be there only in a sentient being. A sentient being is nothing but consciousness. And all these are names of consciousness, meaning they are Nama Rupa manifestation. This is a big mistake that we make in Vedanta. We tend to put consciousness separate away from everything else, beyond everything. And what is the Upanishad saying? All these are manifestation of consciousness. If all these are names and manifestation of consciousness, then consciousness should be present right there. If pot is a name for clay, where is a pot? Where the clay is, na? Where is the clay? Where the pot is? Can the clay be beyond the pot somewhere else? Na? Supposing I say pot is a form of, is a name for clay, I am making a statement. Pot is a name for clay. What does it mean? That pot has manifested from clay. Clay is the material. Kurta is a name for cloth. That means Kurta is manifestation. Namarupa. What is there is nothing but cloth. Where is the cloth? Where the Kurta is, not somewhere else in Timbuktu. Then a cloth shop mein hai, and Kurta I am wearing. How can that happen? Either you are not wearing a kurta or you are talking of two separate pieces. So when he says all these are names of consciousness, he is indicating all these are manifestations from my consciousness. Because without consciousness, none of these things can be there. These are all apparent manifestations. The moment you use the word manifestation, you have to understand that it is apparent, not real. Like when you say, kurta is a manifestation of cloth. There is a kurta apart from the cloth. It does not have an independent existence. So actually kurta becomes mithya, cloth becomes satya. The kurta becomes a functional entity, basing its reality on cloth. The reality of the kurta is the reality of the cloth. The feel of the kurta is the feel of the cloth. The weight of the kurta is the weight of the cloth. The color of the kurta is the color of the cloth. The fall of the kurta is the fall of the cloth. Where is kurta other than a form, a manifestation, mithya? Now similarly he is saying all these are manifestations, namarupas. They are all names. So why do you need separate names? Because separate forms, separate manifestation for functioning. Definitely seeing and tasting are not one and the same. They are two different manifestations. Otherwise next time you want to taste pickle, put it into your eyes. Maja aayega. So The whole idea is what? Namarupa. Functionally, all this, that means what? You as a functional entity is sum total of all this. No? All this put together is what you call I functional. What is that? Manifestation. Are you all getting what I am trying to say? No, Namarupa changes. That means forget these thinking that consciousness is beyond the mind. He says mind is a name for consciousness. You see. Thought is a name for consciousness. Jnanam, name for consciousness. Meda, memory, name for consciousness. Forgetfulness, name for consciousness. Meaning consciousness manifests in all of them. What your attention is on the manifestation. You have not understood the reality behind the manifestation. Your eyes are on the form, your attention is on the form, you are not understanding the content. Akshaya Tritiya around the corner. April 30th or something is Akshaya Tritiya. Okay. Now Akshaya Tritiya has got nothing to do with gold. But the jewelers have done a good job by connecting Akshaya Tritiya with gold. Okay. So everyone goes out to buy gold. Really? Are you going to buy gold or are you buying an ornament? If you are going to buy gold, either you must buy gold bonds or physical gold, buy a chunk, no? Buy a biscuit and come. Because you are buying gold. But nobody does that. Right? Your attention is an ornament. This looks nice on me, this is good, this I can use for my daughter's marriage, this whatever. The content is pushed to the background, the form is in the foreground. Because your attention is on the form. Why? Your attention is on action, your attention is on doing things. Therefore, doing etc., the form is important. So, similarly here, all your attention is on the manifestation. How to think, how to do, how to remember this, how to do that, how to hear clearly, how to see clearly. If I can't see clearly, I have to use some help to see it clearly. All that way. All this is nothing but consciousness manifested. But you even think of consciousness when you're thinking I'm seeing clearly or not seeing clearly. Oh, how your eyes? You're past 50 now. How is your eyes? Oh, no problems. 6x6 vision. Or no, it's compromised. I need some glasses. Are you thinking of consciousness at this time? When you're talking, are you thinking of consciousness? Tasting something? Hey, nice. Are you thinking of consciousness? In fact, you don't even know what is consciousness. So when someone comes and tells you it's beyond all that, you'll fall for it. Beyond all that. What is beyond? At the most you can say cloth is beyond the kurta. You have to transcend the kurta to understand the cloth. What is this transcending? Recognition. Nothing beyond that. There is no other transcending. Just recognize. Like when you say touch wood and touch the table, you are transcending the table to touch the wood. But all the time you are touching wood only, no? But your attention is on the table. भाई wood से क्या करेगा? What will you do with a chunk of wood? With the table you can do something. One student went to the ashram. He had some traditional exposure. Because he had some traditional exposure, he went to the ashram, Samit Panihi to the Guru. भाई मुंडको उपनिषद में बोला है, you should go to the Guru Samit Pani with firewood in your hand. Because olden days firewood was necessary for cooking, for eating, for your yagas, for everything it was necessary. In today's world, where you are going to use firewood? You go with firewood to the Guru. क्या है? I mean, does it really? In olden days, when you went with firewood, you can make 101 interpretation. It is a practical thing to do, showing you are willing to do what it takes practically. Today, firewood. The junk lying somewhere. So, are you getting the idea? What are you dealing with? You are dealing with names and forms, never thinking of content. So, in all these things, this is what happens. This is what happens. He says all these are forms of consciousness, names of consciousness. It doesn't say form, he just says names of consciousness. Why? A name is always given to a form. No? A name is always given to a form to distinguish one from the other, one form from another form. So he says all these are names of consciousness. Namadeyani bhavanti. Then he goes further. Okay. Ye esha brahmesha indra. Ye esha brahma. This is Brahman. Ishwar Jagat Karanam Brahman. Esha indra. It's also called as Indra. Esha Prajapati. Now we are talking about all the deities you invoke in the yagas, etc. Okay. Brahmaji, Indra, Varuna, Prajapati, Agni, Sarve Devaha Imani cha Pancha Mahabhutani. Not only that, all the Devas are nothing but manifestations of consciousness. Mahabhutani, Pancha Mahabhutani, Prithvi, Vayu, Akashaha, Apaha, Jyotishi, Ityetani Namani cha Shudra Mishrani cha. All of them, big and small, all of them are what? Names of consciousness. Bijani, Itarani, Chetarani, all the Bijanis, seeds, etc. Or Andajani, those which are born from the egg, twice born. Okay? Twice born is a term used for a Brahmana because he has undergone the Yajnopavita ceremony, which is supposed to be a second birth. It is also used for reptiles and birds, etc. Because first the egg is born and then the entity comes out of it. Andajani. Jarajani, that which is born from another body, mammals, etc., human beings, etc. Shvedajani, born in moisture, etc. Udbijani, that which is born breaking the earth, plant life. Cha Ashva, Gava, horses and cows. Purushaha, the people. Hastini, elephants. Yat Kinchit Prani, all the living beings. Jankama, Cha Patitri, Cha Yachastavrams, all of them moving, immovable, everything. Sarve Tat Prajnana Matram, Prajnani Pratishtite, Prajnana Itra, Prajna Pratishtita, Prajnanam Brahma. All these are what? Born of consciousness, living in consciousness, sustained by consciousness, and this consciousness is nothing but Brahman. This Prajnanam is nothing but Brahman. Now look at it. How is he gone about it? It's a very interesting Upanishad in the sense it's a different paradigm of teaching. He is dealing with all the things that you are familiar with, where you have a sense of identification. Thinking, feeling, wishing, tasting, seeing, all that. And saying all these are names of consciousness. So, you are manifest in this whole thing. All these are manifested consciousness. That is the individual. Then he goes to a total level and says Ishvara, Jagat Karanam Brahma, all this, Panchabhutani, etc. All of that is all are names of consciousness. That means what? In the individual and the total, all are nothing but manifestations of consciousness. Look at the approach. All this is manifestation of consciousness. Now, if all these are manifestation, there has to be something in the individual and the total which is independent of the manifestation. What is it that is manifesting has to be independent of the manifested. Correct or not? When I say kurta is a manifestation of cloth, cloth is independent of the kurta, no? Because cloth can be in any form. Kurta is one of the forms. So what is that independent entity? That is says prajnanam. That is prajnanam. Whether it is you or in the total, prajnanam eva. The content of every manifestation is nothing but prajnanam. Why is he using the word pra? Why not just say jnanam like Aitareya? Because he have already said jnanam for other things. For knowledge is already used. So jnanam, vijnanam, etc. is already said. So that you will not misunderstand jnanam as that, he is using the word prajnanam. That which is not a manifestation. That which is not a name. That means from what you are taken as I, the individual, of names and forms, all my functions, seeing, hearing, walking, talking, all that. From that, understand all this manifestation of consciousness, you are nothing but pure consciousness. That's implied there. Similarly, in Jagat Karanam Brahman, what is there? Consciousness manifests as the entire creation, as the Panchabhutas. Because I am consciousness, fine. And what am I manifest as? My functioning entity. Na? What about the world I see outside? That question can always be there. What about that? That is different from me. So, you necessarily have to bring in Ishvara here. So, he brings in Jagat Karanam Brahma. Talks about the Panchabhutas, various devatas, etc. that you worship, that is invoked in the Vedic rituals. And says all that is also forms of consciousness. Therefore, in the Pindanda, there is nothing but consciousness. In the Brahmanda also, there is nothing but consciousness. Individual functioning entity is based on consciousness. The totality is also based on consciousness. That's why Ishvara is a necessary point for explaining Vedanta. You can't explain Vedanta without bringing in Ishvara. At least as this manner you must bring in. As Jagat Karanatvam you need to bring in. Because otherwise the totality will be missed out. The totality will be missed out. You will say consciousness, awareness, but it will still, in your understanding, it will still be finite. It is very necessary to bring in Ishvara. Then what type of Ishvara, etc., how much worship, how much not, all that you can debate upon. Depending on individuals, how much to worship, how much not to worship, all that you can say. That's the individual need. But this much of Ishvara is necessary. You can't avoid that. Jagat Karanam. Because how am I going to understand that this world that I see, which is so huge, so vast, so intimidating, how is that not different from consciousness? So So I have to take a totality viewpoint. Only then will work. Otherwise Vedanta will not work. If you're talking only from the individual standpoint, that's only halfway. I'm consciousness, fine. Then, उसका बाद क्या? I mean, you still feel the same finite guy. You don't feel a limitlessness. You don't see a fulfillment. You don't see all that. Then you'll start saying like, oh, I'm a good human being. Vedanta has helped me handle my anger. To go for some anger management classes now, why do you have to come to Vedanta for that? That's direct. I'm being a good human being. You become a good human being and then come to Vedanta. You don't come to Vedanta to be a good human being. That's the tragedy. You know something? In secular India, Bhagavad Gita cannot be taught in schools officially, but it can be taught in prisons. If you taught it in schools, probably they won't end up in prison. This is secular India for you, okay? So that apart, okay, so that's a side like the fact that you need to understand that Ishvara is everything. So Ishvara is a totality, and that totality is nothing but consciousness as its content. I am the individual. I also have nothing but the consciousness as its content. There is only one consciousness. Therefore, prajnanam brahmeti, the Mahavakya. That prajnanam that you understand as yourself is nothing but the limitless Brahman. Brihatvad Brahma. That which is limitless is called Brahman. So this consciousness, what he is saying is, this consciousness that you have understood as yourself is nothing but the limitless consciousness, the basis for the whole creation. So that is the final understanding. That this consciousness is everything. This consciousness, you, I am everything. There's a tendency for us to put it in third person, and that has to be dropped. I, the consciousness, is everything. Otherwise we'll talk about consciousness in third person. Consciousness is everything. And where are you? I'm the kush. है ना? Because they are all your functioning entities are called as manifestations of consciousness. So what are you? The unmanifested I consciousness. The content of all the manifestation is I consciousness. The whole universe, manifestation of consciousness. Content is consciousness. Prajnanam brahmeti. Therefore this consciousness I is limitlessness. Because the totality is not separate. The totality is also a manifestation of consciousness. He is not bothered to go into existence, this, that, everything, nothing. Straight. Not necessary. Not necessary. Because he has brought in Panchabhutani, etc. So creation theory, this, that, etc. You will use what you want. To understand how the creation has come about from consciousness, those are only process we are talking about. How from consciousness this thing can come, etc., etc. Small minds are caught up in that. I mean, which is okay. Vedanta gives answers for that also. But here he doesn't bother. Why? Everything is Nama Rupa for consciousness. Your consciousness. Ho gaya kaam. Consciousness, limitlessness is I. What is it? Abhi kya karne ka hai? Go have a cup of coffee or job is done. Any questions up to now? Because this is the crux of the whole Upanishad. Everything else was just background. Clear about it? Clear without technicalities. Now, if you want to use technicalities, because Prajnanam Brahma is a Mahavakya, many teachers just explain it straight away like how I have explained it, including Gurudev, Swami Chinmayanand. He didn't bother when I heard this from him. About separate this, that, etc. Kya karne ka? Why do you want to bring in technicalities? It is so clear without technicalities. Prajnanam Brahmeti is so clear. What more technicalities you want to bring in? Really? What is necessary? Form and content, ho gaya kaam. So when you are shifting attention from form to content, what are you doing actually? Bhagatyaga Lakshana or not? जहाँ जहाँ लक्षणा भाग त्याग लक्षणा वही हो गया ना. You're not negating the whole creation. You're only negating name and form and holding on to the content. What is that? Oh, technically called lakshana, bhagatyaga, etc., etc. Prajnanam stands for the individual. So because of the word pra, it doesn't stand for manifestation. It stands for the content, the consciousness. Brahman stands for Jagat Karanam Brahma. Therefore, what the content of Jagat Karanam Brahma is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. It's one and the same. Therefore, Anantam Jnanam is you. Technically, if you go to it. Because technicalities, people always feel good, you know. They feel they have understood. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I have a friend who teaches postdoctoral physics students. After they have finished their doctorate, they come to him to learn. So I'll ask them to explain some physics thing. So they'll go to the board, all the formulae, this, that, etc., and explain the whole thing very well. He says, excellent, very good. Now, without using any of the formulae, etc., explain. They are lost. They are lost. Without using mathematics, explain. Because mathematics is a language. If we can use mathematics as a language to explain, we should be able to explain in any other language like English also. No? What is said in English can be said in Sanskrit or can be said in Marathi. So mathematics is a language, then what is said in mathematics can be said in English or any other language. But technical is easy. Without technicalities, your mastery comes into the picture. So that's all it is. Our attention is on the functioning. Because our attention, we have taken ourselves as functioning entities, all the functioning realities are what we take as I. Thinking, feeling, seeing, hearing, etc., etc. And he says, all that is Nama-Rupa. Manifestation. If all that is Nama-Rupa, then I should be pure consciousness. Correct. That's fine. Logical. What about the world? All this is from Nama-Rupa for Jagat Karanam Brahman. And what is Jagat Karanam Brahman? Consciousness. So what is left behind? One consciousness. That is you. Game over. इतनी बात है. There are different paradigms and different Upanishads. Different prakriyas. Okay? It is good to understand different prakriyas because each prakriya is a portal for understanding. It's a method for understanding. Upayaha sarva evete. In Mandukya Karika you will say Upayas, avataraya. For you to understand, there are different means, different paradigms, different prakriyas are used. To understand the prakriya is good because when you understand the prakriya, you will understand the reality through that prakriya. Not get caught up in a prakriya. It's only a prakriya. Which prakriya should I take to? Whichever makes you understand. Or kya bolu? There are different prakriyas. Each Upanishad is a prakriya. To make you understand. It's like that old kawali that is there. कौन कहते हैं मस्जिद में गिर जा, कौन कहते हैं मंदिर में, यहाँ गिर जा वहाँ गिर जा, अरे खुदा कहाँ है वहाँ गिर जा. Where are you going to prostrate? Whether you find the Lord, उधर ही हो गया ना. Where you find the Lord? So similarly, these are different prakriyas. This follows a very different prakriya actually. As I said, for a change, let me do it. I normally don't bother about the Aitareya, it's too simple to this. But this is showing a different way of seeing the world. Mithyatama, birth and death, he said. See, by saying all that, first birth, second birth, third birth, etc., what is he proving? Your functioning is mithya. The whole aim, people will say, okay, this is first birth, this is second birth. Yeah, how can this be that? Ravade. It is only to show Mithyatvam of the whole thing. It's like saying the son is the father of the man. It's only a child that can make a man of a boy out of a boy, his father, and make a boy out of a man, his grandfather. Only a child can do that. Without doing anything, just by being. So all this birth, this, that, to show Mithyatvam of all your functioning. Birth and death are one of the biggest functioning. No? As a person, you have no control over either. You don't have control over your birth, you don't have control over your death. And that is being shown as mithya. So all functioning is shown as mithya. Then from the functioning standpoint, he talks about you, the functioning entity, and says these are all nama-rupa. Nama-rupa means manifestation. And you are nothing but consciousness. Totality, same thing. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, all that whole thing. Because whether it is science, scientific explanation or a dialectical explanation, these are taken as entities. When you talk about an atom or a particle or an electron, they become building blocks for your understanding. So they are taken very, very seriously. So you give a lot of reality to them. It's only with the study of quantum physics that reality got shaken up. Before that, lot of reality was given to all this. Panchabhutani, lot of reality is given. They form the basis for all our Ayurvedic medical treatment. Panchabhuta paradigm it is. Medical treatment is Panchabhuta paradigm. Various combinations of Panchabhutas create Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And the combination of Vata, Pitta, Kapha and the balance in your system, which is responsible for your health. So there will be Kapha Prakritis, Pitta Prakritis, etc. Like example, Pitta Prakriti should not try too much of fasting. It is not meant for that. Kapha Prakriti is kya? So all these various things are there. So you take it all very seriously, no? Because your attention is on the functioning. Therefore, Panchabhuta is very important paradigm. All the deities are invoked in the yagas, etc. are very important. They're spiritual, they're religious, they're divine. They're taken seriously. It's only those Hindus or in Hindus in name only will say, no, I believe in these higher powers. I am more spiritual than religious. That's one extreme. Other extreme is the religious alone, the rituals alone are Satyam. That's one extreme. Hindus are both. Both are a problem. Rituals alone are Satyam is a big issue. And others are Hindus in name only. That's another big issue. But in both of them, the whole thing is here. One takes it as too seriously, the other doesn't have anything to hold on to. So, what you are taken as so very seriously is also shown as manifestation. Namarupa. Personalize this. Look at the form. Go into your puja room. Go into your puja room. Do this. Can you look at your Ishta Devata there and say there's only a manifestation of Jagat Karanam Brahman? Can you say that? What is there is only one consciousness there. Can you say that? That tells me everything. Yeah, what is there? After all, Vedanta says it is true. No? Like that, Vedanta says or you say? If Vedanta says, what about you? Can I echo? Can I reflect what Vedanta is saying? If I can't, Atanu Mimamsyameva, थोड़ा और study करना पड़ता है. You have to study a bit more. Samjhi, but this is what I worship. So in what way is your worship compromised when you say that Rama Murti or tomorrow Hanuman Jayanti, the Hanuman form, is manifestation of Jagat Karanam Brahman? What is there is nothing but consciousness. In what way is your worship compromised? In fact, your worship should be enhanced by that, not compromised. Because I am quoting Parama Bhakta Anjaneya, Hanuman. Tomorrow is Hanuman Jayanti. Deha Drishtya tu Dasoham. Standpoint of the body, you are the Lord and Master. I am your Dasaha. I am here to serve. The original samurai. Okay. I am here to serve. Jiva Drishtya tu Amamshaka. As an individual, you are the totality, I am part of it. Vastu Buddhya Tumevaham. The standpoint of reality, you and I are one and the same. We quote Anjaneya, Hanumanji. What a jnani. Can you echo that? Can you echo that? Can you reflect that? Say, yo, Papa, Lord, forgive me for saying that. My Guru asked me, therefore I am saying it. But please forgive me. Anjaneya will be happy. Beta, abhi line mein aa gaya. Anjaneya will be happy. Rama will be happy. Finally, he will say. Finally. Finally, he is getting to understand me. I mean, forget those who are Dvaitins, Vishishadvaitins. I am not even talking about that. They have to grow. Let them grow in their own pace. I am talking about you and us who are sitting in an Upanishadic class. How much can you personalize this? Because you can do one Upanishad after another Upanishad after another Upanishad. Why 8 Upanishads? I can do 112 Upanishads also. 112 published versions are available. कर सकते हैं. About 20 of them are Yoga Upanishads. सब कर सकते हैं. What is the use? One Upanishad is enough. If you get it. It's important to understand that this is not a mere academic study. An academic study is an intellectual exercise which has its own value. But that's all. It's an intellectual exercise. This is based on your fundamental need for moksha. Therefore, if you are not identified that need for moksha, you won't get it. Moksha. I must get it. Milvanu. Sometime I'll get it. I want it now. And that's not dependent on the lifestyle, thank God for that. I got all my insights into the truth before I joined the ashram. Then why did you join the ashram? For my nishta, for me to be rooted in it, for me to get greater clarity. Insight alone is not enough. Yeah. So it's not lifestyle dependent. How much time and effort you can spend on it, that's what counts. Nothing more than that. So, this personalizing the world, otherwise it will remain an academic exercise. Or worse, it will remain a time pass activity. 2 days I go to the gym, 2 days I go for a walk, 2 days I play bridge, and the 7th day I attend Vedanta class. I'm not joking, I have had people like that sitting in my class, that's why I'm saying all this. Some of the seniors will remember whom I'm talking about, like Satish Bhai and Kamini and all, will know whom I'm referring to. They actually said that in a class. No, Samji, I find this very interesting. 2 days gym, 2 days walking, 2 days bridge, and 1 day Vedanta. क्या बोले? Time pass. Yeah, it's better than being literally spiritual. 1 day bar. Literally spiritual. Bar hopping. Pub crawling. These were the words we used to use in our time. I don't know what is used nowadays. I think the term still is valid. Better than that. But that won't deliver the goods. That won't deliver the goods. It has to be a committed pursuit. Commitment is here and here. It is not in your dress. Commitment is here and here. Dress, etc. is only an external reflection. Want to do it, do it. Don't want to do it, don't do it. It doesn't matter. Any questions on this up to now? We've covered a huge ground today. Now it's all clear? Okay. Then he ends the section by saying, Se etani prajnanena atma asman lokan utkramya avushmin swarge loke sarvan kaman apnukan amritam sambhavat iti. That means what? Because of this knowledge, not after that, right now itself, swarge loke mahiyate. Okay? In this life itself means sarvan kaman ashrute iti. Okay? Utkrami. Going beyond this world. Okay? Asmineta etena prajnanena atmanam asmat lokat utkrami. The self, he understood as going beyond this world. Is not limited by this world. Okay. Therefore, Swarga Loke. Swarga is a loka supposed to where all your desires are fulfilled. So similarly, this person has also fulfilled all desires. What do you mean fulfilled all desires? He has discovered himself as Ananda. Every desire is for the sake of Ananda. If you fulfill this, it is as good as fulfilling all your desires. You are a fulfilled being. Anandohamati. Because why do you want a desire? Believe me, you have a desire to get rid of it. And the most pleasant way of getting rid of it is by fulfilling it. Isn't it? Then what? Then you are ready for the next one. So what is it that you really want? That joyfulness, that fullness that you feel temporary at the fulfillment of a desire. Therefore here directly you have fulfilled it. Therefore it is as good as fulfilling all your desires. One desire got fulfilled, not fulfilled. What difference does it make? You are Ananda. Samajhi, but I still want the desire fulfilled. That means your Ananda rootedness is a little bit shaky. Okay. As Ananda, if you want to fulfill a desire, go ahead and fulfill it. कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. go, do it, do what you want. Because your mind is asking for that. Go ahead. What difference does it make? It's at the functioning level. Mind is saying, I'd like to experience that. Okay, go. But he says, a fulfilled person, therefore, Amrtaha Sambhava. He has gained immortality, he has become immortality. In fact, he is immortality. A repetition to show end of that Upanishad. With that, this Upanishad comes to an end. Okay. Then again he just puts in mark map and see the prayer verse is repeated. Okay. Now there is a choice. Since I went about with an idea of doing some of the smaller Upanishads also, meaning part of the 8 Upanishads, but I have not yet decided whether next class we should do Prashna Upanishad or directly go to Mandukya Karika. But most of you are following this book, 8 Upanishads.
Yes, Swamiji.
The same volume has both the
Yes.
Upanishads anyway. So we just spend a day thinking of it, and then next class, if there are no questions, etc., we will go ahead into the next Upanishad. Okay.
Which one, Swamiji?
Yeah,
Which
that's
one?
why I'm saying, give you a day to think about it and see whether I should go into Prashna. It has got something nice, but most of it is Upasana and things like that. So nobody does those Upasanas. When I tell you all that, also you will not be doing it. I don't do all those Upasanas anyway. One or two I have tried to see whether it works. It works. So okay, I left it at that. I experimented only so that otherwise I don't have the right to teach it. If I have not tried it, I don't have the right to teach it. Therefore, I tried only for that much. Yeah, Shilpi, you have a question?
Yes, Swamiji.
Yeah.
Swamiji, the part where you said about Ishvara, right? That just this much of Ishvara is required, right?
Yeah.
So, did you mean that just enough that we get a sense of sanctity, or was it that
I was talking about the
to
minimum.
understand the relationship between?
No. I was talking about the minimum requirement for unfolding Vedanta. You have to understand Ishvara as Jagat Karna. Now, for your life, for growth, you need much more.
Right.
All the sanctity, all that thing comes in as far as living your life is concerned. But
Right,
this much
right.
minimum should be there in your life. If you come
So
from a
when you
highly
said-
secularized background and don't want to accept all the other aspect of it, but you have taken care of your growth,
Okay.
then you may not need all the other ritualistic aspects, but you will definitely need the understanding of Jagat Karanam Brahma. Without that, it can't work.
Oh, okay.
That's
I'm a bit confused here, Swamiji.
Tell me.
So, when you're saying, where is the distinction between understanding as Jagat Karanam Brahman and
And then doing your worship, bringing
would
worship
it
into it.
naturally be a sense of sanctity?
Not necessarily. There may be people who don't need worship, who have already
Oh.
taken care of their growth. What about them?
Good point.
Asmin Janmani Janmantareva. Maybe they did the worship in the previous lifetime.
No, I mean, sanctity need not mean worship, but
So
it
I am
might
talking
just
about
be that
worship.
sense of-
I am not talking about sanctity. Sanctity is always there. But how much sanctity are you going to give a mithya thing anyway?
True. True.
So
Yeah, I mean,
everything,
you
if
get
you
the
don't
choice.
understand the mithyatvam, then give it the sanctity.
Right.
If you are giving it the sanctity and understood the mithyatvam, have both in your lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Got it.
Yeah. That's how the whole thing goes.
Swamiji,
Yeah. Yeah, tell me.
I think somebody.
Yeah.
No, I think somebody else.
Hello,
is also
Swami.
asked a question.
yeah. I'm trying to ask you something, Swamiji.
Yeah, tell me.
Swamiji, for a Brahmin, is it necessary to do Sandhya Vandanam and all that, and not just
Up to you, do some form of worship. It can be Sandhya Vandanam, it can be something else. Some form of worship is good for you. If you have not understood the truth, some form of worship is good for you. So whatever worship appeals to you, do it. If you have been initiated to Gayatri and all, Sandhya Vandanam is good. Or minimum the Gayatri chanting of the japa, minimum that much is good. Good place to stop.